good afternoon. I've just finished a game that I discovered a couple of months ago, and in that time I have basically become a huge fan of a game that came out in like 1996, I think. It's a game called Disruptor. It's for the PlayStation 1. Now, I discovered this game when I was building, I think it was the Arcade Pi at the time, and I was just looking for PS1 games just to fill out the library a bit. And I discovered a game called Disruptor. Now, Disruptor, if you've never heard of it, is a first-person shooter, but at the time it was called a Doom clone, because that was the go-to, right? So it's a Doom clone on the PS1. Only ever came out on the PS1 by a little company at the time called Insomniac Games. So they made Disruptor, which is I think their first game, and then they did all the Spyro games, then they did all the Ratchet and Clank games, then they did they did Spyro on the PS1, Ratchet and Clank on the PS2, PSP, they did Resistance Fall of Man on the PS3, Resistance 2, Resistance 3, and then on the PS4, their latest game, then they went over to Xbox One and did Sunset Overdrive, and then on the PS4, their most recent game, Spider-Man. Like, these guys make incredible games. Their first game was Disruptor. And again, it's a Doom clone on the PS1. I discovered it, along with a bunch of other stuff, just randomly going through stuff, started playing it. It's really good. Like, really good. Surprisingly so. It's held up better than it should have. The controls are, pretty standard for PlayStation 4 stuff. PlayStation 1 stuff. So your strafe on the shoulder buttons, and then you've got your weapon selects and whatnot on the L1 and R1. And your D-pad is like, aim. There's no analog. So I've been playing through it. The thing is, the game itself has got FMV intros, endings, and cutscenes. And it looks like all of the sprite work was digitally scanned in. Think like Mortal Kombat. So it's all sprites, but I think there were 3D models which were then turned into sprites. It's very, very good, and it's a lot of fun. Every single level is different. So you play this like generic white guy soldier kid in the future. Similar to something like Starship Troopers, but came before Starship Troopers. So you play this like kid who's like going through this futuristic like Space Corps army, whatever, and he's going down to different planets. So every single level has a completely different motif. Like, you can go to the ice level, you can go to the fire level, there's a dream level, there's a tech level, there's a Mars level. Everything looks different. And as well as all the weapons that you'll go through, which you can kind of find new weapons and not upgrade the weapons, but you find upgrades for those weapons. You also have something called psionics, which the game is kind of based around, where they're implants in your head, which you can kind of shoot out. Very, very weird. Never really explained. However, and this is where the charm comes in, and I love ambition, if not success. So they filmed FMV intros, mid-level cutscenes, and an outro. The problem was they had clearly no budget. Like, it was filmed on a shoestring. But what they've managed to do with the smallest of budgets is so impressive. Think of it like this. If you've ever seen Red Dwarf, okay, Series 1 and Series 2, that's 12 episodes. These were shot in the BBC corridors, and all the backgrounds are like made out of clearly plywood, painted grey. Like, it's so basic, but it's got charm. Like, these first two series, it might not have the special effects, it might not have everything else, but it's so cute. The fact that you can tell, like, it's egg cartons. We know it's egg cartons. You know it's wooden pallets. We know it's wooden pallets. All right, let's just get past that and move on. And Disruptor's kind of the same thing. Like, you can clearly tell it was filmed in some of it was filmed in like a not even a studio space. It was like some of it was filmed in a warehouse, some of it was filmed in like the canteen. I know they're a Californian company, so it was like in and around California, but it's all shot in like 1 or 2 rooms. There's only 5 cast members, and they're sort of like CG effects added in post. Really impressive for the time. Remember, this is 1996. It's actually very impressive. The resolution's pretty good. Anyway, so what I wanted to do was look at that stuff. Like, I've cut out all of the FMV stuff. And I'm just gonna go through it like scene by scene by scene, and kind of explain where you are in the story and whatnot. And I just want to share the ambition and like even some of the little things like the framing and the way a character will sort of look at something, even though it's not there, and then the light reflected off a hologram will come into there. It's well done, like very well done, and I think the game has held up very, very well. The only thing I will say, Insomniac, that last boss, utter garbage. Like, even on normal difficulty, frustratingly difficult. And there are points in the game that are frustratingly difficult. But, like I say, I mean, I played through it all on the PlayStation Legacy that I built using a standard PlayStation controller. I wasn't using PC, I wasn't emulating it, I wasn't doing anything else. I was using, like, stock equipment. Fair enough, I was, booting it off a Raspberry Pi based system, so I had the quick saves and quick loads, but I didn't really need it. It was more about the feel of the thing. Anyway, let's start with the opening cutscene, which is very Terminator, and again has that CG that has held up better than it should have. And then the opening thing. Now think Starship Troopers, even though this came before Starship Troopers, just have sort of like that in your mind, but with a way lower budget, and you'll see where we're going. All right, let's look at the first one.
And now, the President of United Earth.
In 4 short years, we will enter the 23rd century. And thanks to the policies of my administration, the future never looked brighter. But our colonization of the solar system still has its growing pains. As you already know, I too was once a stormer. Of course, that was many years ago, and we were just pioneering the field of psionic weapons. But my experiences in uniform built a foundation of service, loyalty, and of courage. If you can survive the Lightstorm training, you will bear the awesome responsibility of defending global democracy throughout the regions of space. Who knows? Perhaps one day you'll find yourself sitting behind this desk as President of United Earth and Commander-in-Chief of the Lightstorm Forces.
Okay, little brother. This is your last chance to change your mind and go home.
I didn't graduate top 10 from the academy to take some desk job, sir.
Dad would have been proud of your grades. But school's over and now the real lessons begin. Are you ready for your first training mission, Private?
Sir, yes, sir!
Your job is simple. Run the gauntlet and get your butt out alive.
Now who's this, sir?
That's the top of your class.
Troy Alexander?
He seems to know his way around the block. How about you?
Will I be getting any psionics, sir?
Why would the government waste good money implanting expensive psionic weapons in a cherry recruit? If you don't have the brain power to outmaneuver a few droids with attitude, I'd never forgive myself for sending you on a real mission. Just remember, think fast, shoot fast, and kick ass.
Okay, so in this first cutscene, you meet President Krieger, who is the president of the United Earth. Again, all very futuristic, all very Starship Troopers. And then after that, probably the best entry into a frame ever. Hang on, let me just do an impression of it. Hang on. So he was watching the TV and then just explodes into the scene from below the frame. Brilliant. So he's essentially generic white guy number one. His name is Jack Curtis. And his commanding officer and older brother is a man called Blake Curtis. So Jack and Blake, again, I don't know who these actors are, but they're doing a really, good job for, again, the budget that they've got. You can look at the background. You can clearly see this was filmed on a shoestring in maybe an afternoon, probably two. But I am super impressed with what they've managed to pull off. And these guys are giving it, they're not, or at least they don't seem to be phoning it in. They seem to be genuinely doing, a solid effort. What's his name? Jack. It's really hard to remember these guys. They all kind of look the same. So Jack and his brother Blake. So Blake's telling him, look, you're not getting any psionics yet. You're still in the training mode. You've come out of boot camp, but now you're in training mode. And that's when they're sort of looking at this like glass thing, and it's got the little dot on it. That little dot is another recruit by the name of Troy Alexander. So Troy Alexander, we'll just call him generic white guy number 3. Troy Alexander is basically running through a course, and Blake is telling his younger brother, you're going to run this course, and training's now over, boot camp's now over, you're going to run this course, and then if you do really well, you can get some psionics. So essentially it's like pulling you into the training mission. And I really like the way they did the glass, like the shot through the glass with the things, very like Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, you know what I mean? It's an effort. They made an effort, and it looks good. So you've got President Krieger, who seems like he's on the up, and then you've got his brother. Now his brother, I wasn't really believing him. His brother's a bit stern. They're not very fraternal. I'm not getting that kind of chemistry. So I'm kind of at this point thinking, this brother's not on the up. It's going to turn out bad. Like either the brother's going to be in on something suspicious or, whatever. But anyway, let's carry on and find out what happens after that.
I feel like hell.
They say the first one hurts the worst. How many psionics did your dad have?
I don't know, like 4 or 5?
All the psionics in the world couldn't have saved him from that terrorist ambush. That's why you've always got to keep your eyes open. And watch your ass.
Which psionic did we get, sir?
Nothing too shocking. Maybe it's time you tried it out. Now you know this training mission won't be a cakewalk like the last one. I want you to get through the chem factory alive. And don't forget, good stormers always think on their feet.
Okay, so after this second cutscene, we've now been introduced to Troy. So Troy was the guy waking up beside Jack. So they've both been on a bed, and then they both sort of get up, and you assume that that's the end of the mission, but it's not. It turns out they're in a med bay, and those beds are where you lie down when you have your psionics implanted, and they're both sort of doing that, so I'm assuming it goes behind their ear or something. And this is also the second reference to Jack and Blake's dad. And it keeps saying, how many psionics did your dad have? And they keep referencing the dad at some point. This is going to be a major plot point. So, Troy and... Oh my god, they're just so generic. Troy and Jack get up, and then Blake walks in. A commanding officer, stroke older brother. And Blake comes in, and... Again, there's another reference to the dad. And then they say, what did we get? What did you just put in us? As if that wouldn't be something you asked before someone puts an implant in your head. Anyway, he says, nothing too shocking. I'll give you that, Disruptor, because the implant you get is shock. So now you've got psionics, and you just run through, again, another sort of training-ish mission. You go down, and there's some monsters, and you just fight your way through. And it's still training. The plot hasn't kicked in yet. So you and Troy are being sent down, even though it's a one-player game. So you and Troy are being sent down to the mission thing. Now, all of these cutscenes end with the same thing, right? So, oh my god, Jack is facing a direction. Doesn't matter where he's facing or who he's looking at or where his eye contact is. what he'll do is they'll cut to a previously shot clip of him sort of like doing this. And then it will zoom in on his eye, then it'll go through his eyeball, and then it will cut to a clip of him walking to a teleporter. And that's always the same. I don't know why it zooms in on his eye if you then see through his eye first person walking to the teleporter. Why not just go into his eye and then into the mission? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Also, the teleporter looks like the old IGN logo. Anyway, so we've now met Troy, we've now met Jack, we've now met Blake, and we have already seen on the TV President Krieger. So we're already 4 of the 5 cast members down. There is another one coming. So let's see what happens after he gets back from his second mission, but this time with a psionic.
That was nice going back in the chem lab. Real nice. I think you actually beat my record.
Thanks.
Man, aren't you getting tired of playing these games? I am.
I say if we're calling it a game, we're still not ready for a mission.
Are you kidding me? Man, I haven't missed one trick. Not even that hidden stuff. I'm ready to go.
Any hints on this next one?
Just that you'll be getting a new psionic called Drain.
How's it work?
You'll figure it out.
So what's the mission?
It's a high-pressure IQ test. They want to see if you can nail the bad guys without blowing away any of the hostages.
Hostages?
In the words of your brother, being a stormer, it's more than just kicking ass. Show us you got what it takes, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll send you out on a real mission.
Okay, so this is one of my favourite cutscenes in the entire game. For 2 reasons. One, Jack is now dressed as like Noob Saboot or Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat for some reason. And I'm assuming this is the gear, like with the black polo neck underneath this like Sub-Zero looking thing. Is pretty cool. Then we have a line from Troy, which is really funny. It goes, "I'm so tired of playing these games." I'll give you that, Disruptor. I'll give you that one. That's all right. I'm down with that. So you're going to get a second enhancement, like a psionic, and it's Drain. And the way he says, "Well, how does it work?" and he goes, "You'll figure it out," makes me think that they filmed these before they had finished the game. So I love the corrugated iron background. That's brilliant. And the like shelving up the top, and the fact that he's got like this gun and he's kind of like pointing a thing. Like it's really good. It's convincing. It's believable. I actually enjoy it. I really like the way that they've got, not many props to deal with, but they're, making the most of them. And then, like, Troy's kind of giving him a bit of lip, like, "Yeah, don't worry, you'll figure it out." And then, like your brother said, it's more than just kicking ass. Like, it's cheesy, but it's cheesy in a lovely kind of B-movie kind of way. That's what I see this entire game is, like this weird sci-fi B-movie. And then he does his, like, "It's morphin' time," into his eye, which, by the 3rd level, I'm kind of like, yeah, fair enough, this is cool. And then he walks to the teleporter and goes in. So after that, and he also mentions that there are these hostages. Now, when you play the level, the hostages is like a wheelie bin. Like, it's like this tiny little bin that flows across the floor. I didn't have a clue that was supposed to be a hostage. So when I first played this game, I am shooting all of them. Like, literally, no hostage. Genocide. Wheelie bin genocide. Yeah, didn't understand that at all. Anyway, so the what is a hostage is like this weird sort of like silver canister. So another training mission, essentially you've got to go through, shoot the robots, don't shoot the canisters. That's literally it. And then when you get to the end, another cutscene plays out. All right, let's have a quick look at that one.
Well, little brother, you made it through with flying colors. You're the best we've ever seen. Other than me, of course.
Well, what about Troy? I mean, he's already out on his first mission.
Jealous? Look, Troy's a little faster out of the gate than you are, that's all. But he still relies a little too much on what's in his hands instead of what's in his head. Fortunately, that's not a problem you seem to have. So cheers.
What is it?
A gang of cryo-pirates just pulled into orbit over Jupiter. Looks like we've got to find someone to beam onto their base and knock out their anti-gravity engines. I think you can handle this. But before we send you into combat, you're gonna need some medical enhancement.
Well, I've already taken advanced first aid at the academy.
Look, you didn't get all this high-priced training just to get blown away by pirates. We need to protect our investment. Considering the cost of medical care, I think you'll appreciate what I'm offering. Before we send you halfway across space, let's take a trip to the psionics lab.
Okay, super quick scene. Just the two of them sitting down, having a little bottle of silver Evian. Blake mentions to Jack, "Oh, well done, you've now passed your training." So that's good. The tutorial part of the game is now out of the way. And then Jack says, "Oh, yeah, but you know, Troy's on his first mission, and when do I get to go on my first mission?" Coincidentally, there happens to be an emergency. And Blake gives his younger brother that look of, "I think you're the guy for this, but first you're going to need another psionic. Prep your head, we're going to stick something else in there." So basically this cutscene is just letting you know, tutorial's over. Now the sort of the stakes have been elevated, shall we say. But it's just another way of saying, look, you're getting another psionic, let's go. We've still only got 4 of the 5 characters that are in these FMV scenes accounted for. The 5th one isn't that fly that's floating around in the scene. That's not the 5th character. There is another character coming, and we'll see them in a minute. All right, let's have a quick look.
Observation complete. This new Lightstormer Jack Curtis looks promising. He could be the one. Report out.
You're really making us proud. Corporal?
Corporal? I heard it took Dad 3 missions to make Corporal. How long did it take you?
You know, President Krieger's taken notice. In fact, he's so impressed he requisitioned an endorphin boost to permanently enhance your vitals.
I guess he wants to keep me around for a few missions, right?
Here. You're a big boy. Better learn to implant it yourself.
You mean I'll get more of these later?
Jack, they're unbelievably expensive. We don't hand them out like candy.
Dad served under President Krieger, didn't he?
President Krieger's the one who tried to rescue Dad during the ambush. He said Dad was the best of the best.
Well, until I came along, right?
Save your bragging until later, because this time we're really putting you to the test.
That's a vintage terraformer. It's at least 10 years old.
Very astute. 10 years ago, the government sent a group of contractors to resurface Neptune's largest moon, Triton, for farmland. They've been living and working in these terraformers without any problem. Until this morning.
Never been to Triton. Any pointers?
Yeah, don't drink the water and don't breathe the air.
You going to Neptune too? Sergeant?
Jack, I have full faith you can handle this mission alone. We're sending the sergeant on a special mission to Mars.
Special mission, huh?
Congratulations on your promotion.
Yours too.
Bet it won't be long till we both make lieutenant. Who knows, you might even get there first. Nah.
Okay, that easily the best cutscene in the game. Well, we're getting to maybe the best cutscene in the game. Anyway, let's break down what happened here. So first of all, we meet this woman who's clearly talking on a Tomy talking toy phone that you give to toddlers. So I don't know who she's talking to. Maybe she's talking to like Tommy Pickles. We don't know. So she's talking to someone on this intercom communicator device. And we don't know who she is, but all that we know is that she's been monitoring us and talking about us. Fade to black. Then cuts up. So now, this is interesting as well. This is what sort of like piqued my interest. What's his name? Jack talks to Blake. So Jack, the younger brother, talks to Blake, the first brother, and mentions his dad. And then he just gets completely sort of pushed, not like conversationally, sort of like washed over. So like he doesn't want to mention it. So I don't know if Blake is kind of like still feeling upset about the loss of his father or whatnot. But then Jack brings it up again, talking about President Krieger. And they're obviously referring to the mission where their dad died, and President Krieger was the one that tried to save the dad. So at this point, I'm still like, I don't trust the brother. Like, the brother's just, he's avoiding conversations. We've now got this new, like, this lady's talking to someone about something. Maybe she's talking to President Krieger, like, who's the brother, or who's he working for? And then just when things get sort of like super complicated, he goes, oh, yeah, don't worry, we're going to give you another psionic, but this one's going to go on your wrist. And it's like this cute little, like, tube that you just, like, there's a little M3 pad, and he's just putting it on his wrist, and then it glows up. It's great. I like it. It's like, it looks good for however much it cost, which probably couldn't have been a lot, but it looks good. It looks believable. I like it. So, and then they go over to the wall. Now, this is where it starts getting really cool, because out comes this little drawer, and if you watch the scene again, when the drawer comes out, someone behind the camera turns on like a torch or a flashlight, so it lights up their face. So even though the CG of the terraformer was added in later, the light on their face, it's really cool, and the way they sort of like enter and exit the frame as well is really cool. And even like the framing of the shot, because then it goes to a sort of lower down shot, and they're looking up at a video screen, which is like a blackboard, which is added in later. And this is kind of, for me, kind of where the scene falls apart. Because as they're looking up at this sort of like replay of security camera footage, the security camera footage for a start is on the camera's on the floor. And the only reason the camera's on the floor is so that when you see shots of someone running, instead of like making a monster suit, which wouldn't have looked believable for the budget they had, they just had someone with like a furry boot quickly step in frame for like half a second, and then it just cuts to static. Again, really, good with the budget that they've got, which couldn't have been much. So we know there's a terraformer, and we know that the people working down on this moon have been, attacked by some kind of monsters, and you're going to have to go there. And then who should walk in? Troy. Troy, who's been promoted on his last mission, which you were so bummed about. And then he does nothing but sort of like give you stick about it. Like, come on, man. We were in the like academy together. We got the same psionics together. You went out on a mission. You got promoted. Like, come on, man. So maybe Troy's in on something. Like, Troy's got that kind of face where I don't believe everything that Troy's saying. Maybe the Troy and the brother are in on it together, and it's kind of like a thing. Maybe the woman, like on the like Tommy talking phone, maybe she's talking to Troy Pickles. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they're like hatching some plot together. Let's have a look. But anyway, all that we know is that there's a terraformer. We got to go down there, and we got to kick ass and take names, or whatever the brother says. So let's see what happens when we get back.
The president himself read your Triton report.
What did you make of those mutant icemen?
He was as surprised as I was. He's sending a team of scientists up there to study them. But because of your outstanding performance, he's giving you...
Another promotion?
No. He's giving you a special assignment.
Oh, yeah? Where?
Mars.
Mars? Well, what about Troy?
He didn't make it. Don't make his mistake, Jack. Remember, use everything you've got. This orb was uncovered on an archaeological dig on Mars. We think it's alien in origin.
I guess that makes it worth a few bucks.
Yeah, well, we need to get you up there to bring it back. Everyone on the dig was wiped out, and we don't know why. I've got a bad feeling about this one. The transportation beam is having a stability problem. Even if we get you up there, we doubt that your weapons will make it through.
Hey, don't sweat it. It'll give me some time to try out that new psionic.
Okay, so you're back. You're back in your noob Cybot, like, Mortal Kombat gear. And you're just doing, what you can with these little props down here. And then your brother comes in. So Blake comes in and talks to Troy. And Troy's like, oh yeah, so, he said President Krieger's like been monitoring you and thinking. So I'm maybe thinking, maybe this lady is talking to President Krieger. You never know. And then the brother comes in and says, oh yeah. So we got a new mission for you. He goes, what, you got a promotion for me? He goes, no, we've got a mission for you, a secret mission. You're going to Mars. And he's like, Troy was on Mars. Troy's dead. And the brother's like, oh. Doesn't ask any questions, doesn't do anything. So we're sending you to a place where that kid that was not mocking you, you know, like an hour ago, he's dead. And he's not like, okay, maybe, are you sure? Like, he got wiped out, the entire colony got wiped out. You want to send your own brother in there? Okay. Not buying this brother. Don't believe what this brother's doing. The brother's up to something. Mark my words. So anyway, then they walk over back to that panel. And again, the thing pops out. Like this little sort of like drawer comes out with this really good looking for 1996. That's not bad. This like spinning sphere, like CG sphere thing. And again, they have the light in their face. Looks real nice. I mean, again, like the pre-IKEA drawers in the background and whatnot, they're just mixing up the set. It's probably the same set, but they keep, you know, reusing, throw something in the background. Like it was corrugated iron, take that out, put the, you know, sort of drawers up and whatnot. Fully admirable. I really, really like the way it looks. So anyway, let's see what happens. So you go to Mars. All the colonists are dead. Your friend is dead. And let's see what happens when you get back.
Reporting. I was unable to intercept the orb before it reached President Krieger. But the Lightstormer has demonstrated a natural ability to harness the fundamentals of its power.
I don't know what was in that orb, little brother, but orders came in that its retrieval is to remain top secret.
My lips are sealed, but I tell you one thing, it did wonders for my psionics. You know, if Dad had one of those orbs, I bet he'd still be with us today.
I'd like that. But with great men like President Krieger, we can help carry on the Lightstormer tradition. Now, we've got a problem down in Antarctica. I hope you brought your mittens.
Don't I ever get any R&R?
What do you call those 3 days you just had in the hospital?
You call healing from a psionic implant a vacation? You're sicker than I thought. Sir.
Vacation authorization comes directly from the president.
You know, my head feels like it's reaching critical mass. What was that thing?
Something you're gonna need down there in the snow. Do you remember those mutants you discovered on Triton?
Yeah.
Those genius scientists brought a few of them to Antarctica for research.
Don't tell me. They got a little frisky.
Our reports show that some of them have mastered the cyclone. Hopefully they're all popsicles by now. We need you to get down there and retrieve their genetic data bank. Is that understood, Sergeant?
Sergeant?
Okay, so that last one, we're sort of getting a bit more. So we see the woman again, and she's talking to someone, and she said she couldn't intercept the orb that we were after before it went to President Krieger. So she's clearly not working with President Krieger. Maybe she's working with the brother, but then the brother walks in and says, I don't know what was in that orb, but it's remaining top secret. So maybe Krieger's up to something, but the brother still seems super shifty. And for all we know, Troy may be dead, may not be dead. We don't know what happened to Troy. So Jack and Blake are talking, and again, he brings up the father. Like, oh, you know, maybe if Dad had had this psionic, maybe he would still be alive. And the brother's like, he seems genuine this time. He's like, yeah. He doesn't sort of dismiss it. He doesn't sort of palm him off. He's like, yeah, I would have liked that. So anyway, we find out that Jack's been in hospital for 3 days getting a psionic put in. So the first 2 went in his head. The third went in his sort of gauntlet thing. And the fourth has taken 3 days to heal and has been put in his head. Anyway, then they go back over and he shows him... he says that some of the mutants that you've met before are now made their way to Antarctica. It's just basically like, you remember on the Mega Drive, on the SNES, you had like the lava level, the ice level, the jungle level, the Egyptian level. It's that. So now we're having the ice level. So now there's mutants have gone over to the ice Antarctica. So God only knows how. So we go into Antarctica and they sort of like make the most out of that little CG thing. So out it comes again of the wall and up it pops and he goes, right, we need you to get this thing. And it's like this tray with like these little crystals and some kind of like DNA sequencer or some genetic splicer or some sci-fi mumbo jumbo. Anyway, and then that goes back in. And he goes, are you ready to use these new psionics? He's like, yeah, I'm ready. What happens next? The level that comes after this is the longest, most difficult level, I think, in the game. It's brutally hard. It just goes on forever. So you're basically in like this ice planet, and then you go down, and there's loads of switches, and it goes on forever. Anyway, let's see what happens when Jack gets back.
Nothing beats a hot meal after playing in the snow.
This might. Here, you're gonna need it. We're shipping you to the moon of Io.
You know, I heard it's got a great view of Jupiter.
Yeah, well, not where you're going. It seems that a few greedy members of the Jovian crime family have decided to take control of the sulfurine mines.
Why don't we just vaporize the whole moon?
Then where would we get the sulfurine to produce the antimatter for our weapons?
Got a good point.
Don't forget to send me a postcard.
Okay, so Jack is now eating blue porridge oats with pieces of sweet corn in. I say eating, he's eating something, but it's in a different shot. You never actually see him put the blue sweet corn laden thing in his mouth. It reminds me of the BBC adaptation of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where Ford eats like a blue hot dog, and you can see it's like maybe Play-Doh, maybe like they've made a dough and painted it blue and it's got like green slop on it. Kind of like that, but he ate it. This kid, not eating that. Anyway, so Troy's sitting there chowing down and Blake comes in. Again, he seems more sincere, but not quite. And he says, some space gangsters have commandeered a mine where we get all of our, special antimatter stuff. Doesn't make any difference. So Jack goes, yeah, no problem, I can take that out. And he goes, you're going to need this. And it's another one of those blue things. So like some go in your head, some go in your wrist. Also, he's not wearing his gauntlet because he's at dinner. So he's just like kind of holding it and looking at it. So the next mission you go down to, it's hard as well. The next mission you go down to essentially a mine. And you have to fight your way through just waves of these really tough enemies. But eventually, and it's like a maze, like you can get lost, you double back on yourself, it's horrible. But eventually you get to the end. And then this is where the game kind of starts taking a little bit of a turn, as you'll see.
You're the finest stormer our academy's produced, Jack. Your father would have been proud.
Thank you, sir.
What's wrong, Lieutenant?
I'm just sorry that Sergeant Alexander didn't make it this far. And I don't understand why my brother isn't here to see this, sir.
Well, he's on special assignment, son. I've sent him to New Atlantis for R&R, and now I'm ordering you there to join him.
R&R? Sir, yes, sir!
Priority 1 emergency. The power reactor on New Atlantis has gone supercritical. Looks like sabotage. Security's been wiped out and I'm 50 clicks from the nearest teleporter. We need someone to get in here, kick ass, and get the core shut down ASAP before it goes to meltdown.
What's the quickest way to the teleporter, sir?
I happen to be familiar with these reactors. Look for the cooling valves in the side rooms. That'll buy you enough time to get to the teleporter in the center core. Now you get there, and we'll transmit you out. Good luck, Lieutenant.
Okay, let's just break this one down. So Jack has met the big dog, like the president of New Earth. And he's given him a promotion. Now, every time that someone gives him a promotion, it's these like little red discs with like concentric circles in. The more concentric circles you got, the higher rank you are. They kind of give it to Jack like they're cookies and make him forget stuff. So Jack's kind of sad because, Troy's dead. He says, oh man, it's so bad that Troy's not here to see this. After he's been given like this cookie, he's like, hey, here you go. And he's kind of bummed out about it. And he goes, and also, why is my brother here? To the president of New Earth, right? And the president goes, hey, don't worry about it. Your brother's on R&R, the thing that you've been after for so long, and we sent you down a mine. So his brother's an R&R, so Blake's an R&R. And he was like, oh, okay. And he goes, how would you like some R&R? R&R, yeah, sir, yes, sir. So he's finally got his vacation time, just in time for the orange acrylic box on the desk behind him to start flashing. And they quickly run around there. And President Krieger looks at the yellow acrylic box or orange acrylic box, and it's Blake, who you know is on holiday because he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and is standing in front of blue sky. So you know he's on holiday. And Blake's got a bit of an issue. The issue that Blake's got is that the reactor of where they've sent him has just gone critical. He knows this for some reason, but can't do anything about it. So the younger brother's like, quick, get me to the nearest teleporter. Now, whoever's playing President Krieger, I don't know the actor's name, is doing a sterling job. Like, he's not phoning it in. He's genuinely going through the lines in his head. You can kind of see it. But he goes, look, I know this place. I know this place. I know those things. There are valves. They're in the side rooms. You've got to get there, go into the side rooms. It'll buy you enough time to go and do the reactor. Go on, son. And, like, the kid's like, yes, no problem. Does his, like, whew, it's morphin time in the eye. And what follows that is the only timed mission of the game. So you have a timer literally on the top of the screen. And you've got to belt through these enemies as quickly as possible. If you take a wrong turn, dead. If you go up the wrong lift, dead. Open the wrong door, dead. Forget to open a door or don't see a door, dead. You've got to run basically down and do all these switches. It's not tricky, but it's... anything against the clock I'm not brilliant with. So it took me a while to get through this level. But I got through the level, and then the story just goes left-hand turn. So by this point, we've seen President Krieger. President Krieger, I'm kind of on the level with. The girl, the lady on the Tommy talking phone, haven't seen her for a while. Don't really know who she's on with. I think she's in cahoots with a brother, though. So maybe that. Troy, he seems sad, but the President Krieger didn't say anything when he said that Troy was dead. He was just like, how would you like some R&R? You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not... maybe Troy's still alive. Maybe he's dead. The brother seems to think he's dead. Anyway, so we've got the DNA splicer and we've got the orb, right? President Krieger's doing all right. He's got everything you need. And but then, this reactor's come. So you belt through the reactor, and then when you get through to the end of the reactor, you don't step on a teleporter. You don't get to an end of the level. The whole place just like literally explodes. But before it explodes, you're warped out of there real quick, like in Star Trek, like you teleport out just before it explodes. So let's find out why that happened.
As soon as you lower this force field, there'll be hell to pay.
Hell was already paid, Lieutenant, by the innocent thousands who died on New Atlantis.
Where's my brother?
We locked onto the coordinates, but we were only able to pull you out.
He's dead?
Murdered. Like all those who died in the blast.
Who the hell did this?
Think about it, Jack. You get to the core of the reactor and there's no teleporter. No exit whatsoever. Is that your idea of R&R?
You're trying to tell me that President Krieger set me up? One of his own men?
His lust for power started long ago. Now that he's got the orb and the genetic databank, he'll create his own army of mutants and have unlimited power. He's got to be stopped.
Why me?
We've been scanning the solar system for someone with strength, wisdom, and integrity. Someone we could trust with man's most powerful weapon. We're with the Alliance of Democracy, Jack, and we need your help. If you are truly committed to defending global democracy, then join us to disrupt Krieger's plans for domination.
What is this great weapon?
An enhanced psionic, known as Terrablast. The procedure only takes 10 minutes. We've already broken the codes to get you into his orbiting habitat. Bring him to us. We'll be a lot fairer to him than he was to your brother.
Wait, what? So, alright. You were teleported out by this woman. Now, all this time, the woman on the Tommy talking, toddler telephone, I'm like, well, she's clearly a bad guy. Clearly a bad guy. And you get there, not only is she on the up, it turns out she's part of a resistance. And that when you were sent to do the whole reactor incident was a setup by President Krieger. And he didn't only kill your brother, who, sorry, your brother's dead. Like she was, the way she sort of like chews the scenery as well. She's a really good actress. The way she's like murdered along with thousands of others. I'm like, oh man, she's really good. Anyway, way better than the rest of the cast. It's a shame that she's not in it as much. So it turns out your brother's dead. And thousands of others. There was no one in that level. You never see another person in this entire game, like civilian, NPC, whatever. And she's like, yeah, we're part of a resistance. Now, President Krieger's not on the up. The guy that you were just in his office and, sent you on R&R. So, yes, sir. So, there's a resistance thing. So, she was trying to get the orb at the beginning to stop President Krieger. But you got the orb to him. And she's like, yeah, what he's going to do is, take over and take power and whatnot. But we need you to stop him. And then comes the weirdest thing. So, the first 2 implants go in your head. The third implant goes in your wrist. The 4th implant goes in your head and takes 3 days to recover. And then she goes, oh yeah, don't worry. We can give you the most powerful psionic you've ever seen. Takes 10 minutes. I'm like, look, I've just met you. My brother's dead, along with thousands of other people. And you're telling me in 10 minutes you can give me the most powerful psionic. Even though when I had the other one, I spent 3 days in the hospital. Are you mad? But again, he doesn't do that. He's like, yeah, I'm going to stop President Krieger. I'm going to go to him. I'm going to go to his office and I'm going to get him and I'm going to bring him back to this woman that I've just met. I don't remember this woman's name ever being mentioned anywhere. I am ordering a copy. So I've got a copy for the PS1, a PAL copy on the way. So maybe it's in the instruction manual. But I looked it up. Her name's Eve something. And again, she's part of this resistance rebellion thing. So, again, I'm not quite sure who to believe. Maybe the brother is dead. Maybe the brother isn't dead. I wasn't sure whether Troy was dead or Troy was alive, but apparently Troy's dead. Apparently your brother's dead, along with thousands of others. But I stopped the reactor, right? Although it did blow up. So, at this point, I'm super confused. All I know is that this woman's told me, President Krieger's not on the up, we're going to go and get him. All right, let's see what happens when we get back.
Very impressed. I thought you died with the rest of them. So, what do you think of the extractor? I think it's a perfect fit. I remember when I requested the funds for a teleporter that looked like my office. The bean counters thought that I was just acting paranoid. Of course, once it was completed, I needed absolute secrecy. So I had them, shall we say, extracted from office.
Yeah? Well, it's quite comfortable, actually. I'm thinking about getting one for the barracks.
Just like your father. Disrespectful. He tried to stop me once, too. He was the only one that figured out that I was looking a lot further down the line than just being some sad sack stormer. You see, he found out that I was hunting for the orb in my spare time. Of course, when he threatened to unmask me, I had a few terrorists pay him a visit. You son of a... Well, Stormer. Let's see how you match up with my little toy. You see, I'm not just going to kill you. I'm going into that precious brain of yours, and I'm going to extract that terrorblast your friends at the Alliance gave you. I understand that the extractor can be a little disconcerting to the thought process. I'd offer you a couple of aspirin, but I'm not authorized to prescribe medication.
All right, there's a lot to decompress in this scene. Firstly, I just want to say that the way the set in the last scene, it was a different set because it had plants and they built steps and it had this wheel stone thing behind it. And in this scene, not only is the set, all in dark, but the way they've backlit this guy to make him look more evil. Like he was in military grey before, now he's in black and there's a light behind him, so the light's shining up and he's sort of underlit. Really, really nice. Really, really cool. So yeah, the way it's lit and the way it's shot, it's really compact. It's quite tight, quite claustrophobic. You can see he's got this big neck brace on, and it's the way it's sort of shot and framed makes it feel uncomfortable, like Jack is. So Jack's feeling uncomfortable, so we're supposed to be as well. Anyway, that aside, let's talk about the story. So the story, President Krieger's a bad guy. Okay, she told me, and I wasn't quite believing it. I maybe thought that she wasn't on the up and up. Eve, this is. So it turns out the President Krieger is actually a bad guy. You know that because, he's wearing black and he's underlit. And also he's put you in a massive extracting device with big spikes and wires on. And then he lets you into the secret. So your brother, rest in peace, said, President Krieger was the one that tried to save Dad. Turns out your dad was getting a bit close to President Krieger's master plan, so President Krieger kind of offed him. And he is quite happy. This guy, whoever this actor is chewing the scenery. He is really having a good time with this. You know what I mean? He's not phoning it in. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And he did. It is great. So yeah, he's like, oh yeah, no, your father was getting pretty close. That's why I had to off him. And that, goes on from there. And then he goes, and also, I know that they put that Terror Blast, the one that took 10 minutes, I know that they put the Terror Blast in your psionic. I'm going to get it out. And this is where, if President Krieger had a mustache, he would be twiddling it furiously. This scene was shot before Monsters, Inc., but it's that scene from Monsters, Inc. You know the one with the scream extractor? And he's like, say hello to the scream extractor. He's like, hello. That scene. It's that scene. So he pulls down this egg thing, and out of this egg has got this xenomorph mouth. And it's sort of I'm going to extract this thing from your face. Oh, focus up. There we go. I'm going to extract this thing from your mouth. And it just opens, and then Jack sort of jumps. And he's like, what did he say? He goes, I would give you some aspirin, but I'm not authorized to administer any. That would make any difference. Extracting something from someone's eye is authorized. Anyway, this guy's great. I love this guy. So what happens after this? Basically, you're in this chair, and this thing is stabbed in you. And then what happens next is a dream sequence. Again, this is PS1. Dream sequences are all the rage now, and all the rage for the last 3 or 4 years, ever since Arkham Asylum. But this is 1990... When was this? 96? So you enter a dream sequence where President Krieger is trying to extract the Terror Blast from you. And within this dream sequence, you have to fight your way to essentially the end and sort of break out of this nightmare that you've been put in. So let's see what happens when you get to the end and you kind of wake up, and let's find out what happens after that.
I fell right into a trap. Can you get me out of here?
The whole area is shielded. We can't lock on to you. But there's a teleporter at the gate to the prison. Get there, and I'll bring you back here.
Yeah, well, when I get there, I'm going straight for Krieger.
Okay, so ignoring the obvious, how did my man get his hands free? He's got free. He's taken the scream extractor, psionic extractor, pulled it out, dashed it across the room. And then he gets up and runs around. Oh, no, first of all, he rips off the collar. Okay, sure. So he rips off the collar, runs around the seat, goes up to the wall where there's another one of those hollow screens, right? And then presses 3 switches and gets Eve, who seems to be waiting for his call. how has he got her on speed dial? This is a prison, which he's never been in before, but he can seemingly call her. So maybe everyone uses the same like communication system. I don't know. Anyway, so he says, it's straight up, like literally, I walked into a trap. And she looks at him like, yeah, I know, dumbass. Like, I'm running a rebellion, you know, here. She goes, look, you're in a prison. And again, this is the game trying to communicate things to you via the cutscenes, as well as giving you story. They're like trying to tell you what's about to happen. So you've just come through this vicious dream sequence. You've got no ammo. You've got nothing. You've got to scavenge everything. You're in a prison cell. Run. Like, you don't have enough ammo to get through this level. Run as fast as you can, avoid what you can, scavenge ammo if you can, but if you can't, don't worry about it, just leg it. And that's what she tells him, and that's what you've got to do. So from here on, we're like at the end of the game now. The final boss is coming. You scoot through the prison, and this is a long level as well, a long level. Scavenge ammo when you can. There's a few secret little areas where you can find some pistol, like big clips. But essentially what you're doing is just booking it as fast as you can because there's no health. So once you get to the end, you find a teleporter, you jump in the teleporter, and then this happens.
Remember, the orb is the source of psionic power. Krieger knows you're on the way, but the world's depending on you.
Okay, so this is the only time where there's no cutscene. Like, it literally just goes straight into a loading screen. So you finish the last level from the prison, you jump into the teleporter, and then it just goes straight to a loading screen, and then you get this voiceover. Now, these voiceovers are in all of the game, and depending on who's giving you the mission, so whether it be your brother, President Krieger, or your mate, Troy, or the Eve, they change things up. They also change where the teleporter is. So after you do it's morphin time, where the thing goes in your eye, you have a tiny little, like, 1 or 2 second clip of him stepping in that teleporter. It changes when you go to Eve's Resistance hideout. They filmed a new one where you step on a new teleporter. Just because it wouldn't be the same, would it? But for some reason, they didn't film a cutscene for this particular bit. You literally go from the prison, and then it goes to a black thing. So maybe you're just being warped to somewhere else. Anyway, you get put on another sort of like industrial area. I'm not quite sure where it is. And again, your job is just to run. You can pick up ammo, and I would highly suggest you pick up ammo, because if you don't get to the last boss with enough ammo, you will die. There's no way of killing the last boss. You need tons of it, even on normal difficulty. You need tons of it. I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to get there with both health and ammo. Because if you try and scavenge ammo, you're going to lose health, and you're not going to have enough health for the final boss. Or if you try and conserve health, you're going to get there with no ammo, and then you just can't kill him. So that last boss, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to do it properly. So anyway, you get down there, like you scoot down there as quick as you can, and then you run through this sort of like industrial complex. You get down to the bottom, and then you're just out in this weird world. It's kind of like the dream world, but grey. It's very, very strange. Once you're there, you run, like she says, he knows you're coming, and you've got to get the orb. So you run to this sort of like grey world it's a couple of meters. It's not even that big. But at the back of it is a teleporter. Now, when you step in that teleporter, you go to the final boss arena, if you want to call it that. So basically a large floating platform with all these like weird tentacle things pointing up in the sky, but there's also these like weird tentacle platforms that don't go anywhere. It's a bit like they used stuff from the dream sequence again, but it's now painted grey. Anyway, the last boss, utter nightmare. Although they did record voiceover for when you first enter the area. So when you first enter that sort of like last boss arena, he says this.
This time, I'm going to personally ensure you don't get out alive.
And then you fight the final boss, you eventually kill him. And once you kill him, he explodes, and there's all these like orbs come flying out of him.
Mission complete.
Yeah, and then the flying orb is at the end, right? So that flying orb that was on his desk, the one that you originally intercepted, and now you've got back after killing President Krieger. President Krieger, your brother, Troy, all dead. There's just you and Eve left. So you touch the orb, and then again, it's like the reactor explosion. So the whole place starts spinning, you get warped out. Do you remember when I said that at a certain point, I think it was when your brother goes down for R&R and then you do the reactor, that's when the game, after that mission, when you first get warped and you first meet Eve, that's where the game takes this like dramatic left turn. What happens next takes a massive leap. So you've just killed the final boss and you've picked up the orb and then you get teleported out. The next cutscene takes place months later, right? No context. And I mean no context. Check this out.
Now that free elections have been held, as new president of United Earth, I'm proud to promote you to commander of the Lightstormer forces and keeper of the orb.
Sorry, but what the actual hell was that? Let's break it down. Months have passed. She says free elections have been held. And she has now taken over President Krieger's role as the leader of New Earth or United Earth. So what she did was essentially orchestrate a coup which overthrew the government, and then she now is the new leader of the world? Okay. So, moving on. So then, she then promotes Jack, who assassinated the president, again. And then, she promotes him, and then salutes him, and he's like, yep. And then, out of nowhere, like there have been no signals so far, they kind of smile and make out. And I'm like, I remember when I was like literally playing through it on there, I was like, that's really weird. Like that came out of nowhere. And that isn't the weirdest bit of the scene. The weirdest bit of the scene is when he starts fondling the little globe. Like this. Hang on, look. Like this. Like starts fondling the globe underneath him. Like, what? Make your mind up. Like, you're clearly in a relationship with this person. What is up with this orb? Why are you fondling it? What is going on? No answers. Fade to black. Credits. Like, I am blown away by this thing. It was genuinely a game where I was like really getting into the twists and turns of what happened. A PS1 game from 1996 actually had me engrossed in the story. You know what I mean? For FMV sequences that were filmed on, frankly, no budget. It's really, really cool. But that ending, boy, I am still baffled. Like, no signals. She made no attempt to rescue him. She kind of just left him for dead. She's kind of spoken to him. She was kind of like, your brother's dead. Like, what? What is going on? Like, you know when you watch Empire and Jedi? There's chemistry there. Like, you kind of, maybe. And then by the end, it's like pure tension. Like, when Han and Leia are like having that argument in Hoth, when everyone's like you can tell. Like, you can. Where's the chemistry? Where's the tension? It just comes out of nowhere. And then they start making out. And then the orb. What is with the orb? Like, it's just a MacGuffin. Why is he fondling it at the end? What is going on? Anyway. I love Disruptor. You need to play Disruptor. I've got a copy on the way. It will be coming soon. I'm going to play through it again. I'll play through the PAL version. I'll read the instruction manual. I cannot wait. But that ending. Boy. I still can't get over it. Anyway. Disruptor. PS1. Insomniac Games. Absolute thumbs up. Love it. And I love the FMV. I absolutely adore it. And this is not taking the mick. This is genuine, heartfelt. I love what you've been able to do. You've made a B-movie video game. And I absolutely commend that. I think if it had a bigger budget, the charm wouldn't be there. I don't think it would be as cool as it is. And the actors that they've hired, the 5 actors that they've hired, for the most part, I mean, President Krieger and Eve really do just absolutely chew the scenery. They look like they're genuinely having a good time, and it shows. And I had a good time playing it. Anyway, yeah, that's my little love letter to Disruptor, my new favourite game. All right, cool. Peace.